Time to go downstairs. Mark, you have a special guest, I'll call him. Over to you.
Well, we're down in very hot weather, and Graeme Smith is with me thinking, what's he doing here?
Yeah, afternoon, Marky. Afternoon, everyone. Yeah, I didn't quite pick the best shirt for this lunchtime show.
I asked Hashim this morning and Vernon whether you felt the same nervousness, intensity, sitting up there as you do in the dressing room. And Hashim said, well, I feel a lot of nervousness and intensity, but it isn't the same as being in the dressing room. How is it for you, given you're so involved?
Yeah, I mean, I have to be honest. I think over the time involved as CSA, watching us bat has been a touch stressful. But you know, watching this series, I think it's been fantastic to see the fight, the competitive nature, the effort that the guys have put in against the #1 team in the world. I think all of us, because of that, are a little bit more nervous. We know the work that's gone in behind the scenes, and you want to see the players that get their rewards, and they're not far away from a very big accolade of beating the #1 team in the world.
Certainly, a lot of this was something to do with you and your relationship with Sourav Ganguly, and indeed the long-standing, excellent relationship since readmission in 1991 between South Africa and India.
Yeah, I mean, 30 years now. I mean, I think they welcomed us back into international sport. It's a celebration of that. 30 years of wonderful cricket memories as well. So many amazing players. But I think, yeah, when Omicron hit and the world was shutting down, South Africa needed someone, to show faith in it. And I think we're grateful to Sourav and Jay, for backing us and our ability to get a safe tour done. Also the Indian players, Raul, there was a number of engagements happening back and forth over that period. I mean, it was it was really touch and go. And here we are a couple of weeks later. Things have gone so far so good, and the cricket's been amazing.
It has, actually. Credit to the players for the standard they've played on sporty pitches is the way I described them. Are you satisfied with the pitches, or are they just too sporty?
I think probably a touch too sporty. I mean, it's not a request from us. I think it's just the nature of how the surfaces have played. I think it does make for exciting cricket. It's kept everyone in the game. There hasn't been any boring sessions, certainly, right throughout. I think the batters up there in both change rooms would probably complain slightly. But I think as a spectacle for Test cricket, I don't think we can complain.
And what about crowds? Obviously, it's disappointing that this ground isn't full, and indeed the previous two grounds. Any chance of crowds being allowed into the one-day games?
Well, I can assure you, Mark, that we are trying our utmost with government to try and open up more tickets. With 2,000 people in the ground, once you've got stakeholders, players, and the number of
backroom staffs.
Yeah, backroom staffs and everyone that's here. I mean, it leaves you such a minimal amount to actually sell. So, I know there's been a number of engagements with the Ministry of Health, Ministry of Sport, and we're really hoping that, we can get some fans back, because, cricket like this should be enjoyed by our fans, and they've waited so long.
I thought it'd be fun for us to trace the series, actually. I know that you've been unable to be present for COVID reasons, but you've watched every ball, you told me, from home, and it began on Boxing Day morning, always a great occasion. But that was the one time in the series, India winning the toss and choosing to bat, that South Africa didn't bowl at their best, and that partnership of 117 for the first wicket got India off to a great start in the series. At that stage, did you worry? Did you think, wow, we could be outclassed here, or did you have faith?
I think when you're coming up against a team like India, they've shown their ability around the world to be successful. They have won in Australia, very successful in England, and coming here is almost a final frontier. I think everyone was a bit nervous. I think the fact that the preparation into the series was hampered with COVID. I don't think anyone realizes the challenges of trying to integrate people into these bubbles, keep players safe. So your normal preparations, the way that you would probably enter a series, especially with everything that was happening in that week build-up to get India here, our team was a little bit undercooked. They could. If you bat first and you can goes on, and that certainly showed itself in that first test.
It took Lungi actually in the afternoon to sort of burst it open a bit and get South Africa back into the game. He's had a very good series.
He has. I mean, he's had a long layoff for various reasons, mainly health issues. So, it's fantastic to see him back. I think, we're building up a nice sort of array of fast bowlers. We've worked hard. I think if we go back, to COVID hitting 2 years ago, we had to throw the net far and wide, carrying squads of 23, 24, players testing positive, injuries, not being able to do what's required. So, we spread a lot of talent and gave a lot of opportunities. And then ever since the West Indies tour, we've really knuckled that down. And I think the team has been extremely successful since then. And it's great to see guys like Lungi back in our game, KG hitting his straps, the likes of Marco Jansen, coming through, and Keegan Peterson.
Yeah, well, we'll talk about Keegan Peterson in a minute, but I think we should dwell on Marco Jansen, primarily because it was a surprise even to see him picked in the side. We'd all expected Olivier to play on that first morning, but he was a surprise pick, a very nervous starter in that game. But throughout the series, he's grown and grown. He gave us notice in the second innings at Centurion. He had a four-wicket haul, but he's a real talent.
No, absolutely. I mean, he's been in and around the squad for the last while, and we've known about him, and he's been working away. And he's got all the ingredients, doesn't he? Height, left arm, swing, bounce. You can see he loves the contest as well, which is so crucial as a fast bowler. And he's had key ability in this Test series to pick up important wickets, to break partnerships, to keep South Africa in the game, which is terrific for a young man. I think where the big step up happened for him was probably in the A series against India and Bloemfontein. On flat decks, it was noticeable how he stood out. It's bowled well on the flat decks, and controlled the game. Knew, sort of had a good idea of his own bowling ability, and I think that was kind of I think for everybody the step where we thought this guy's going to be something special.
Well, it proved to be a bridge too far, that game, and South Africa were bowled out in the fourth innings by this excellent Indian attack. But Dean Elgar reminded everybody of the sort of true grit that you would show. Do you see something of yourself in him?
I think he gets hit a lot more than me, so I fortunately didn't take so many head blows as Dino. So, but I think it's so important, especially when you've got a young batting lineup that's still trying to find its way. There's key figures in that batting lineup that need to be the glue, need to set the example. And I think Dean has done that extremely well. You know what you're going to get from him. Everyone talks about the fighter, the tenacity that he's got, the ability to stick in. But he's led from the front in this series with the bat, and I think it's given confidence to the people around him, which is important. And he's the type of guy that's going to latch on and not let things go and not let things slide. So you can see how he's kept the team gripped throughout sessions in the series as well.
There are so many different forms of leadership. Very few captains or managers have them all, and he's the sort of guy you follow out of the trenches, isn't he? And that's value for South African cricket right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think you've got to look at your environment. You've got to understand what is required for that environment. It changes over time as teams get experienced. Maybe different types of leadership is required. But right now, his fighting ability, his ability to galvanise the squad, to get the best out of them, to bring a little bit more maybe that old school type mentality to our game, and then also the ability to lead from the front with the bat, while others are trying to forge their career. That is crucial.
Right, we move to the Wanderers, having lost by 113. Very few people were predicting a South African win. In fact, some were concerned that it could be a 3-0 series win for India, but this was a show of tremendous character.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think, no one gave us a hope in the series, especially after we lost the first Test match. So to be sitting here, close to winning the series, I think is incredible. And what's excited me throughout the series, Mark, is that, there hasn't been a lot of runs, but it's been touch and go. And often those third innings in the Test series, certainly the last 2 Test matches, have been pivotal. And those are tough days. You're under pressure. You've got to perform under pressure. You've got to step up. When 2 sides are close, the pitches are tough. Who has that little bit of an edge? And you're up against a very experienced captain, very experienced Indian team. And we've seen a lot of our players just perform at the right time in the Test match that has ultimately got us into the position that we are. And I think that, for me, has to be one of the positives from the series. Yeah.
Well, we've touched on Marco Jansen, who picked up 4 more wickets in the first innings. But Keegan Peterson, I mean, you obviously knew you had a gifted player, but one so organised and so calm. Yeah,
I go back to, again, when we sort of got involved, Mark became coach, and and Jacques Callis joined for, I think, 25 days or something initially in that first period. And straight away, when working with the squad, he picked Keegan Peterson as, he just said, this guy's organised, he's got his stuff together. If we work hard with him, we're going to get something special. And I think it's taken a little bit of time for him to get his opportunity. I think I remember he was about to get his opportunity, then got COVID, and it's been that sort of journey for him. And it's been important that we've backed him. I think you can see an organised cricketer. I love the way he plays, the tempo he plays at. He's a fighter as well, a really strong character for a little man. And he's come out and shown that now. And I think, it's wonderful when you work behind the scenes and you see the guys come to the fore and everyone starts to recognise them, like the Janssens and the Keegan Petersons. But, for them to perform under this pressure with the series on the line, it's great. I'm
going to pick a couple of Indian players. I'm a great fan of Shardul Thakur. I know that you're a great fan of Indian cricket. That comes again from your relationship with Surav and others. But he picked up 7 in that Wanderers test. He's a bounding, effervescent, optimistic, medium-fast bowler, hard-hitting batsman. Terrific all-round cricketer.
Look, I think I need to re-watch the series at the end of it and maybe enjoy more of the Indian performances. But watching this Indian bowling attack go about their business, it's wonderful. There's no release between Shami, Bumrah, Thakur, Ashwin and the rest. They're just at you all the time, and it's a real test of your ability on sporty pitches. Thakur, I think, has. He's not the quickest, but his action is nice and high. He gets the ball to talk. He's accurate. He's taken a huge opportunity. We've seen him do well in the IPLs and the T20s,
incredible.
But this is a big series for him.
Incredible amount of talent in India. Literally batting, spin bowling, fast bowling, fielding. Really, it's terrific to see. It was also terrific to see KG Rabada come back with the best of him. When KG is on, he can blow a game open, and he did one of those Wanderers mornings, just with a burst of pace and accuracy and just sheer self-belief.
Yeah, KG, rightly so, has built up a lot of expectation around him because of the way he's performed in his career. He's been, at a young age, the go-to guy for South African cricket. And, when he's not quite on, there's always a question mark as to why, And I think he's been searching a little bit for that maybe that little 5% or that X factor that just kind of gets him over the line and gets him back to that level of performance that we all expected. But throughout the series, he's got better and better and better. And I think the nice thing from a KG perspective is even when he's not at his best, he's still contributed. He's picked up 2 wickets, 3 wickets, and then through the series you can just see the rhythm has clicked in. He's found his way, and stepped up at the Wanderers and here at Newlands at key times.
And in the run chase, it was again about Dean Elgar, but about the others chipping in. Everybody got the 30s and 40s that were needed to keep Elgar at the wicket to win the game.
Yeah, look, I wrote a tweet after the game, and I think that if you take the circumstances, the pitch, where our batting lineup is, I think it's one of the great run chases in South African cricket history, one of the great test wins. And you hope that win galvanised the confidence within in the unit about what they possibly can achieve. I don't. Even myself, honestly, on that, going into that 4th innings, you're very nervous. You suddenly go 3-4 down. The game's gone. So to set up a partnership in the top order and for Dean to lead the way that he did, really set up a fabulous showdown in Cape Town.
In general, going forward, how positive are you? I know that you felt very frustrated that you didn't make the last 4 of the recent T20 World Cup. There's another one to come in Australia. Do you feel there's the talent there for South African cricket to push on now?
Okay, I think there's the talent. I think it's still going to require an immense amount of work, and effort in developing that talent and getting it to a consistent level. I think COVID has made it challenging from a program perspective. We've managed to get cricket played in biosecure environments and stuff like that. But if you go down the levels, it's only now that we're starting to get our programs up and running, our youth programs, high performance stuff, and we really need to get moving on that. I think to develop 30 or 40 players in and around the Proteas that can contribute on any given time is important, and we've done a lot of work on that. That's going to require a bit of space. The world of cricket, is a challenging landscape at the moment. If I just think about our national team now, 52 days in a bubble against India, 10 days coming up in New Zealand for quarantines, and the 2 test matches there, home to Bangladesh, 2 months in IPL, full England tour. India, again, World Cup. So, how you manage players and management in terms of the stresses that they're facing in these biosecure environments, the amount of cricket that we've got to play to catch up losses and various other things. So it's a planning nightmare, and hopefully we'll get that concoction right and we'll see success.
England owe you some short form, having left early from their last tour. When's that happening?
It hasn't gone unnoticed that they stayed in Australia, both teams actually, with all the COVID positives. But so England I think is around March next year, and then Australia is in August 2023 to replace those test matches we lost.
August?
That'll be announced sometime soon. But
you've given away something you shouldn't have done.
Probably not. But I think, Mark, with series lost and COVID and the challenges are, you've got eight white ball events in 8 years now. You've got IPL extending. Trying to fit your calendar cycles in is the great challenge for everybody. So, you need to review. You need to stay with the times, and you need to make sure that we keep putting South African cricket on the map. Our team needs to, both men and women, need to be performing well, that we recognise and people want to play us. But we need to make sure that when things are happening in world cricket, that South Africa is at the forefront of it.
Okay, so this is all a bit tense here now, this next hour of this game. Let's remind ourselves where we are.